On July 3rd, Anthony Edwards signed the max rookie designated extension, incentives of up to $260 million, and he became the fourth player out of the 2020 draft class to sign the rookie designated max extension. Following, first it was Tyrese Haliburton on July 1st, then it was LaMelo Ball, then it was Desmond Bane. Desmond Bane did not get the full 260 max. It was the max 207 because Haliburton, LaMelo, and Anthony Edwards have accolades already, playoff appearances, all-star appearances. Their max extensions are now able to reach up to $260 million with incentives. And with those incentives and Desmond Bane's max contract, the 2020 draft class has now signed for a combined over $1 billion in rookie extensions. And the 2020 draft class is already one of the most successful draft classes in recent memory, with 4 bona fide franchise cornerstones, and in Haliburton, LaMelo, and Anthony Edwards, faces of the franchise. Desmond Bane is a face of the franchise with Ja Morant for the Grizzlies, and he's somebody who's improving every year. So I wanted to go over each player, the contracts, what I think of their ceiling, and why their franchises did good business giving these guys long-term money and locking them up for the future. First, let's start with Desmond Bane, because that seems to be, I wouldn't say controversial, because no matter what happens, there are going to be people on the internet who are on one side or the other and will always have something to say. But Desmond Bane signed his 5-year max extension worth up to $207 million. And let me tell you, that is good business by the Grizzlies. It is an absolutely good contract. And I think people, and I really hate to do the "you clearly don't watch the games" type of stuff, but there's no way you could watch Desmond Bane for the 3 years he's been in the league and see his gradual improvement every year and tell me that Desmond Bane did not deserve a max deal. Desmond Bane, 25 years old, one of the best three-point shooters in the NBA. The minute he stepped into the league as a rookie, he was an elite three-point shooter, career 42.5% from three, making 2.5 threes per game for his career. Every year he's upped his three-point attempts, and it's of all varieties: off the dribble, off of screens, spotting up, catch and shoot, you name it. Desmond Bane has improved. And it's not just the three-point shooting that's improved every year, because I don't want to boil his game down just to that. Last year, he took strides as a playmaker, especially when Ja Morant was in and out of the lineup due to injuries and then the suspension for being a dumbass. And Desmond Bane took more responsibility being a lead ball handler, while upping his points to a career-high 21.5 points per game. A career high in 2-point percentage. His floater game is nice. He's able to get to the rim with his big, stocky body built like a linebacker. I've made plenty of videos about the Grizzlies. I still like this core, and I'll break down the Marcus Smart trade in a separate video, but I think that's only going to help. But Desmond Bane is absolutely a cornerstone franchise player. You need to lock up a young player like that, one, has a good work ethic, 2, has a skill set that's tailor-made for the modern NBA today for a perimeter player, which is pull-up shooting, attacking the rim, hitting the floaters with your touch. And also, he's a good defender and an improving playmaker. You just gotta lock up a young player like that that's going to improve, and you bank on him keeping up the improvement every season. There might be a down season here or there, but with players like Desmond Bane, who are ultra confident, fit the culture of the Grizzlies, the Memphis Grizzlies, has a great work ethic, and can play off your star franchise player, you lock that guy up for as long as possible, because that backcourt is going to be really nice once Ja Morant returns from his suspension. And I suspect even while Ja's suspended, I think the Grizzlies are going to be really, really good right out the gates for the season. And then we have Tyrese Haliburton, the high IQ passing wizard that loves doing jump passes, signing a 5-year, $260 million deal with the Indiana Pacers. The extension could obviously reach up to $260 million, meeting incentives, and I have a sneaking suspicion Tyrese Haliburton will realize the full potential of that contract. He became the second player in Indiana Pacers history to sign a deal that exceeded $100 million, and I'm assuming the first to sign a deal that exceeds $200 million. But that trade by the Indiana Pacers was a home run. Being able to offload Domantas Sabonis to get a young, budding star point guard like Tyrese Haliburton with that type of unique skill set, being a really elite three-point shooter and arguably a top 3 to 5 passer in the NBA already, nearly led the league in assists if it wasn't for James Harden, became the first player in NBA history to average 20 points and 10 assists while shooting 40% from three-point range. That type of skill set is just ridiculous, and the Pacers are building around him, clearly keeping Miles Turner with the renegotiating extension, trading for Obi Toppin to give Haliburton a lob threat and a high upside play from that 2020 draft class, by the way. And it really seems like Rick Carlisle over the last 4 or 5 years has kind of eased up. He's had the reputation of a control freak and somebody who just loves to get in players' asses. I wouldn't say he's softened his coaching style. I just think he changed his approach, and that just goes to show that even older coaches can adapt, and he's given Tyrese Haliburton freedom. And with the signings and trades the Pacers have made, getting Bruce Brown, getting Obi Toppin, keeping, Miles Turner, not trading him finally, getting him off the trade block and renegotiating, extending him. Still got Buddy Hield, you got Benedict Mathurin, Andrew Nembhard. I like this Pacers team, and I like this Pacers team led by Tyrese Haliburton because he's one of the bright stars in the NBA. And then we go to LaMelo Ball. The Hornets did right, of course, by extending LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball is one of the elite passers already, too, in the NBA. Him and Haliburton are just incredible passers. Deep pull-up three-point range. LaMelo was injured a lot last year, had a lot of ankle issues, and also had a downtick in three-point percentage, but had a giant uptick in three-point attempts, so the shots were more difficult. But he still averaged a career-high 23 points per game, 8 assists per game, 6.5 rebounds per game. But the things that I'm going to be looking for with LaMelo as his career goes on is, can his finishing around the rim get better, and can he improve as a defender? Because out of all the rookie max guys that got extended, LaMelo is clearly the weakest defender. But you just can't replicate his deep three-point shooting and his genius level passing. There's a lot for LaMelo to improve on, and the crazy thing is he's only 21, and you're going to hear me say that with Anthony Edwards too. He's only 21. Tyrese Haliburton's only 22. Desmond Bane is the elder statesman, I guess, being 25 or going into his age 25 season, but it'll be interesting to watch the Hornets next year now that they drafted Brandon Miller, which I'm still convinced they should have drafted Scoot, but I am very open to being wrong, even though I like Brandon Miller. I just didn't think that was the right pick. But having a guard that is 6'8" like LaMelo, you could just do so many things with the roster building. You can take the Oklahoma City Thunder route, which is what I think the Hornets are trying to do, and just have a bunch of tall, ball-handling guards that are above 6'6", and I think the Hornets are trying to emulate that, so I get the pick, but at the spear of this, it's going to be LaMelo now, and that contract's well-deserved because, like I said, his skill set is unique. He has a few rough edges to buff out in his game, but like I said, he's only 21, and this contract was definitely something the Hornets had to do, and it's a good contract because I think LaMelo has a chance to be a superstar as well, especially with his special and unique talents. And then we go to the guy I'm most high on in this 2020 draft now that we're a few years removed from it, Anthony Edwards. Probably the easiest, no-brainer decision that the Timberwolves have had to make this offseason. aside from the Jaden McDaniels contract extension, which I'm sure they are working on and they need to do. Another member of the 2020 draft class, by the way. But Anthony Edwards, that was a no-brainer. He is going to be a superstar. I am convinced. You just can't find that type of special blend of athleticism, quickness, explosiveness, ball handling, strength and size, and 3-level scoring ability, all mixed into one. And the cool thing is, Anthony Edwards seems to want to take the challenge of becoming an elite defender in his career. He is a menace on the ball. And like Desmond Bane, Anthony Edwards already has playoff experience. And he has playoff experience as the lead ball handler for the franchise. The guy is already averaging 28 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, and 4 assists a game, while shooting 47% from the field, 38% from 3, and getting to the line over 6.5 times per game at 83%. While the Wolves haven't broken out of the first round, you can tell in those first round series, against the Grizzlies 2 seasons ago, and then against the Nuggets last year, Anthony Edwards was not scared of the moment. He had no problem taking the big shots. He defended John Morant well. He defended Jamal Murray well. He just takes the challenge on both ends of the floor. And yeah, I'm going to throw out those sports cliches because this dude just has it, and he is very clearly the face of the Timberwolves franchise, and a certain former face of the franchise who also went on a delusional podcast tour about a few months ago is probably the target to trade out so you can replenish the assets from the awful Gobert trade to rebuild around Edwards, because the Timberwolves have to build around this guy. This guy is clearly special. If you lock him up and lock Jaden McDaniels up for the long term, you have an elite defensive pairing. Hell, you can even put, well, no, that's a little too experimental, but you could put Anthony Edwards at point guard and Jaden McDaniels at the 2 and then find a defensive-minded 3. The point is, the Timberwolves have 2 players, Anthony Edwards especially, that lends to them filling out the roster with nothing but versatile, like-sized, switchable pieces, but they don't have the assets to do that. And what's the one solution? It's very obvious. They have to trade Karl Anthony Towns because they can't trade Gobert. And honestly, Gobert might be a better fit for an Anthony Edwards run team than Karl Anthony Towns, especially given the contracts. They gave Naz Reid a contract extension. They've committed $500 bajillion to 3 centers, and there's just no way the Timberwolves can go into next season with that amount of money committed to one position. They have to build around Anthony Edwards. It's a no-brainer. If the Timberwolves don't, it's malpractice. They have to do whatever they can. And the first step of business was giving him the contract extension. But this 2020 draft class is already special, and I didn't even mention guys like Tyrese Maxey. I already talked about Jaden McDaniels. I did a video earlier this season on Isaiah Joe and how pissed off I was that the Sixers just let him walk for nothing. You got Trey Jones, Devin Vassell, who I look forward to seeing have a 4th-year leap playing off of Wemby as well. And then even role guys like Josh Green, Paul Reed even as a backup center. 6th Man of the Year candidate Emmanuel Quickley. This 2020 draft class is just loaded with talented players, and I still think there are some players who in the right situation can find their way, like Obi Toppin. I wonder if Pokusevski's going to get more runway. I know he was injured a lot last year, but with how loaded that Oklahoma City roster is, I wonder if Poku's going to get squeezed out here. There is just a lot of good players from this 2020 draft class, and what makes it a special draft class is that we already have 4 players that are franchise cornerstones, and that money was well worth it.